Right, it is day 7 of the rewire and we're finally ready for putting some plaster on the walls. And this is the thing between electricians and plasterers and customers on what do we do, what don't we do, why do we do it. So several rewires you can plaster if you want to, if you price it in. We actually don't price it in, which is silly for me, but I actively do it anyway, especially when we're working further away from home, because you guys all know you can get these shields, sockets or bead masters, loads of different types now that you can put, so someone can put it on, you can put the faceplate on, you can make it safe, you can liven it up, you can test it, you can finish it off. But once the plastering's been done, you either have to go back to remove the shields to screw the sockets back, or it's left for the customer, which is completely up to you as an individual, as the contractor. But we don't like doing it, we prefer doing it ourselves. Especially when we're working further away from home, it could be weeks until the plasterer comes in to sort it out. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I do it, and the bag I've bought and what we do prep-wise. So first things first, we have a look at our chase. So let's have a look at a nice one we've got in the hallway. We've got 2 data cables and we've got 2 2.5mm cables for a socket. So they're chased in the wall, they've been all round banded too, it's had no conduit, this is the finish that we've gone with in this property. So first of all, what we need to do is put some PVA on it. And the reason you put PVA on it is a sealer, so it seals the wall from the dust and it's slightly tacky for the plaster to adhere to. It stops the brickwork from sucking the moisture out of the plaster and cracking it, and also it then falling off, because there's nothing worse than I'm going to put loads of plaster on this wall and then it all crumbles, it doesn't adhere to the wall properly, and when a plaster comes on to put a second coat, a multi-finish or a skim coat on top to finish it off, the base that we've then put on the wall cracks and falls off and realistically renders it absolutely useless. So first of all, we've got a PVA, which is here, got a watering can. Normally I have a spray bottle, but we're going to use this bottle, and I've got a brush. This is actually, I think this is a plasterer's brush, but it's one of my dad's old ones that we found, which is pretty much brand new. I'm going to do a good chunk of PVA in here. This is a no-nonsense one from B&Q that cost, I don't know, 10 quid, and I've had it for a long time. It's done a lot of rewires. Now we've glugged that in. Probably put a bit too much in really, because we'll fill it up to there. We're going to put the rest of water in, because we don't need it a thick mixture. We want it to dry fairly quickly so we can get a coat on. But all we want to do, like you say, is just seal the brick, and so we can adhere to it. The reason I've done it in this bottle, that actually Jack from JRC left on the floor, is so I can give it a shake. And I don't know, because there is a hell of a lot of chases to do, and I mean a hell of a lot, you'll see in a bit. Some were put back with all-round bands, some we put back with some washers, some were cable clipped. It's just what we've got. We've actually run out of red plugs, which is mind-blowing for us, because we've used so many screws and plugs on this job, it's unreal. So now that's done, I'm just going to find a little pot that I can pour this into, because if I need to reload, make some more PVA, I don't want to be cutting the top off of this. I've got a little, it's one of my velocity tubs from one of the tool bags. So we'll just empty that into there. Ha-ha! Right, we're coming to our socket. I'm not going to whinge like plasterers did. Oh, you took your cables in, because I can do it without, because it's not really that hard. We either can get a Hoover, which we can't use right now because we've turned all the power off, because we've literally cut off the old board. So we want to get rid of all the loose dust and everything. We've got a blower here. Right, very simple, is we want to give everything a little bit of a dab in between, in and around the boxes, on the cables. Like I say, this is just sealing the brickwork. And no, you don't need capping, no matter what anyone tells you, or any other YouTuber. We've used capping loads of times and we continue to use capping. It's just certain jobs we do, certain jobs we don't. All it is to protect the cables from the plasterer's trowel. That's all it's for. It's never going to stop a drill bit, never use plastic or metal. You must go straight through it. So ignore anyone that tells you any differently, because they're wrong, and I stand by that. So we want to make sure we're getting up and around, happy days. And new plaster isn't like old plaster, which reacts with cables. It doesn't do that anymore. It doesn't eat into it. It's like, I think it was old lime plaster used to corrode PVC cables. That's not the case anymore. So we'll happily go straight over the top with this. So let me have a bit of a run round, PVA up, and I'll show you when we get a mix on. These are sealed now. The colour's different. We've got a few drippage, but that's all right. We used a bit of drippage, aren't we, Ed? Not going to go there. So now, so I'm recording a YouTube short at the same time. So what I buy is this bonding coat, which is like a first coat to my knowledge. It's a bit more rough in texture and allow multi-finish to bond to it more efficiently. We've got a watering can, that was the customer's, that was just sat there luckily, because normally have to do it in buckets. We've got ourselves a rubber tub from B&Q, we've got ourselves a mixer, our drill, and I've got, people are going to shout at me for this, a very dirty widespread. I don't use this, I use this as a pad, what do they call it, to put the bonding on, and then I use this one, which is a bit cleaner, to scrape it on. So the process with this, I normally do, I think it's 5 of these. No, I'm going to fill this up to halfway, and then I'm just going to judge the amount of water I put in. I don't do it enough to know the measurements, so don't shoot me, but I'll sort of show you when we start mixing. I'll sort of show you the difference between the amount of water, sorry mum, in case you're watching, to the amount of powder we've got. I'm fully aware that I could tip the bag up as well and just fill it, but my issue with that, like I just did there, is I've been and done this quite a few times now, and all I end up doing is just spilling the entire bag on the floor, having to sweep it up and clean it all up and get rid of all the residue before it flat dries really hard on the customer's patio. We have put matting down and whatnot, but I'm just going to use the watering can afterwards. If we've got any residue that's flicked out from mixing, we'll just wash it down, get rid of it all, so when it dries, it's like we were never here. And like an actual plasterer who leaves the mess everywhere. Right, so we've got half a bag, excuse me, got half a bag there, and I chuck some water in. We'll put the paddle, which is one of these, which has been knocked off. Oh God, try and get some plaster off it, but that's rock hard on there from the last use. I should have really cleaned them. I should really clean these every time I use them. This one's not as bad. Stick it in there, put it on 1 speed, don't do it on 2, Jesus Christ. If you've never mixed it before, it's just a bit faffy to start with. You've got to wash it in and around, and I just need to add some more water in a minute. Right, I think the mixture's ready. So we don't want it runny, we don't want it to be able to fall off the trowel, unless we flick it, get off. So it means we could squish it into the corner of the back boxes behind with pressure without it sliding off. But the only issue with this is the less water you add, the quicker it will go off, so be warned. I filled half a tub up. There's less than half a tub here now, which is mint. And there's a lot of chases. So I'll bring you inside and sort of show the good soup. We've got a lovely young man that's coming to film who is here. Hello.
Right.
Okay, right.
What's that, Graves?
I know. See, it's already feeling a bit hard already. But what I was saying with, you use one to put your mixture on and to do your spreads like that. But this is what I was getting at with doing bits. So I'll show you on this side.
Doing bits.
Doing bits.
Doing bits.
So line it with the edge of my box like that. We get a nice chunk on here, and we can physically smush that in to the side of the box. So we've got full depth. I'm going to clean the box out in a little bit, but full depth down the side of the chase, because Jack did these ones with the chaser. So me and Adam stitch drilled it. Jack makes a wider bit, so it's quicker to do it when you chase it, but if you are taking it out, but if you are going to bond it, it takes longer and more material. So keep that in mind. Yeah, tucked on there. But it's just simple as work it on your trowel. Don't just put some on like that and spread it. You need to make sure you're pushing and applying pressure to get it back in and around the cables. And once you've got it like this, we can run that up just like that.
So what you're saying is fill it till it's full, yeah? Oh, that's dry.
Yes, yeah. But a few plasterers have moaned, I would say moaned, has suggested in and around my area, all the really good plasterers that, anyway, is don't finish it level, because then they can't do a final coat on it. So what we do after we've done it is just run that down, make a groove, run that back up. There's a divot there. If they want to sand down a little bit, you know, they can. But there's no way I can bring it less than level. Otherwise it'd be me like going like that and like that on every single one. So there's just bits and bobs that you could do. It's the same thing here. These bits are always the tricky and faffy bits around the top of the boxes. But if we hold this here and we get that level with our box where we want it, we can just push the material in, drag that up. That's finished around the box. What I'll do is get a knife in a minute.
You're better off leaving it till it dries a bit, aren't you?
You can do, but because this is as thick as I've made it, it doesn't really matter as much. I'll show you when we work it in a second. It's like that and that. And even though the bottom one is tiny, we'll still get that on. There and there.
Wait, why have you got 3 hands now?
Once this is drying a bit, you can get a bit of a sponge and wipe that off. Ad, can I borrow your knife a second, please? You done to your knife?
Oh yeah, I broke it.
Needs a blue pill by the looks of it.
Oh dear. What have you done to my knife?
I'll get you a new one. You can easily... I've just chucked on top of the handle. Run that along. And because we applied pressure when we put the plaster on, the other bit should stay fairly strong as we ungoop the box, which a lot of plasterers, every plasterer around my area, seems to fail to do. But already, that is ready. It's tacky, it's malleable right now because of the amount of mixture I had on it, amount of water compared. But that'll allow me to put our boxes on once that dries. We can just scrape it out so it's less than flush with the wall. We can get our stuff on nice and neat in that. Run the trowel up a little bit of this, and realistically that's all we need to do. I will go around at some point if we've got loads of spare mix and fill them all, but that is not necessary. We want to make sure our outlet and our cables are inaccessible. When we put them on, we screw them back. It's finger tight. Finger tight? It's
Fingerproof.
I'm about to say finger hole, but that's not the right saying at all, is it? So yeah, that's the sort of process. I'll run around a little bit and show you how much this one tub has done. We're making fantastic progress. Making no mess, no fuss. We're on this bad boy now. So I'll nip next door. So Jack chased these out. I'm not throwing Jack under the bus. That's if he even watches this video anymore. But Jack actually did request this one, so we'll be telling him about it. Jack, when it comes to using the chaser to chase out sockets, long ones, he's not the most accurate, which you've probably seen from the other videos. So this is what I've been doing on here. I'm just giving it a rough coat. That's a rough coat. We know that, that's fine. We get to other bits, nice and neat down there to a point. I'm just blocking in the chases. We filled the hole in where Adam drilled through. But what I wanted to show you, if you've got tiny little gaps to get, and you've got massive scrapers, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna try and do this with one hand. This is a little filling knife. You got both sides. All we're doing is that really, because I'm gonna smush that all the way to the back and clean the box off as we do it. Oh God, I just dropped some on the floor. But yeah, it's time consuming, I'm not gonna lie, but I'd rather get this in here, especially in between the boxes, nice and neat. So then the plasterer doesn't moan and we can just do a bit up. But yeah, two data, 2 satellite, 1 aerial, bits and bobs like that. So there's another little tool you can buy. Actually, I found this. I think it was my dad's as well, I think. But yeah, just go around, make sure you're pushing it back. Don't just skim the front like this. Because if you do that, it's just got no support. And the moment you go with the socket, it will just break out. So that's our nearly finished product. I will say as well, if you ever got it a few times where there's some cables, you know when you've got a little bow in it and you want to kick it in, just hold it in place, put a bit of gunk in it, that'll hold it back. If we've got time at the end, we'll fill the chasers fully. If we don't, it's all prepped for the plasterer, a bit neater. It's nearly 6 o'clock, I've got an hour home. Adam's got to go to football tonight, so we're going to leave in a minute, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. A few more bits and bobs to do. This is what we say. I'm not throwing Jack in the bus, I love Jack to bits, but when you use the chaser, it creates more, like it is faster in it, but then I've now got to spend copious amounts of time fixing it.
5 minutes faffing.
Yeah, easy. But that one. We've got that one. New shower ISO on the outside, up and down. That's in. So yes, there's means and ways to do it. You don't have to do it if you haven't priced for it. There's several reasons why we do it. Like I said at the beginning, bit of practice. I need way more practice. I'm not a plasterer at all. I don't do drugs. So, you know, that's why we're electricians. So any tips or tricks, drop them down below. If there's any plasterers watching, let me know if there's any ways I can do to improve that. And I know there's different ways and different techniques and this and that you can use, but so far so good. The stuff we've done in previous rewires has really helped other plasterers and customers, and for us it's safer and we don't have to go back to try and second fix again. Hit like, hit comment, hit share, Adam. We'll see you next time. Okay, love you, bye.
Bye.